So, welcome to this session. Now, we look at business strategy. What is this business strategy? So, you can go to this my book on strategic management. We are looking at these business strategies in quite a good detail in so many chapters. So, if you see, there is a turnaround strategy adopted by IBM given in Exhibit 8.2. So, this is so many strategies which are adopted by different companies in the marketplace. So, if you really see the type of, many times companies go into alliances. Why do they go into alliances? To achieve strategically significant objectives that are mutually beneficial. So, go to page number 125. It gives you a figure of continuum of strategic alliances. So, starting from mutual service consortia to value chain partnership. Some of these other things which are listed there, like the doom loop and all that, we will consider in the sessions to come. Okay. So, this turnaround strategy by IBM given on page number 130. So, there I am reading out from this exhibit 8.2. IBM's BOD hired a new CEO, Louis Gerstner, to lead a corporate turnaround strategy at Big Blue. The nickname IBM earned from its rigid dress code policies. To stop the flow of red ink, the company held its long-held no layoffs policy by reducing its workforce by 40%. Under Gerstner, IBM reorganized its sales force around specific industries such as retailing and banking. Decision making was made easier. Previously, a top executive with a PC division had to go through 7 layers to get things done. Firing incompetent employees could take a year, so you pawned them off to another group. Strategy presentations were hashed over so many times they got watered down to nothing. Under Gerstner, however, formal presentations no longer required. The emphasis shifted to quicker decision making and a stronger customer orientation. So, this is what is required for our companies also in the present day competitive market. 87 customers had to wait for 5 to 7 years for a new mainframe series. Now, the situation has changed drastically right now if you look at it. Now, in the light of all this, what is this business strategy? A company can make use of its business strategy to improve the competitive position of its business units and products and services within the specific market segment or industry. The objective of a business unit in a company, that is the people who are in the business unit, should be not to hold it as a business unit only, that is you are making a product, you are earning some sales. No, that was in the beginning, that is when this business unit was formed. So, from BU in a company you should go to becoming SBU, that is a strategic business unit. A strategic business unit will have its own products, own or product lines, its own markets and a dedicated person to handle this strategic marketing or strategic planning. Okay. So, the result is it will function like an autonomous division in a company, and it is accountable by itself to its performance. So, the company relies a lot on SBUs. Take many of the private companies within like Tata's or the Ambanis, that is the Reliance. So many SBUs in the company, all SBUs performing well. So, this is the type of scenario which you are seeing in the present day. Similarly, in the energy sector you have this Adani group of industries again performing well, whether it is the wind power or the so many solar power, all those types of things again being done well. So, whether it is development of new airports, again in the private sector you find this GMR group doing well. Okay. So, this is where you have to move, that is a company's business unit has to move from BU to an SBU. You should not be holding on to BU only for a long number of years, no, move from BU to SBU. Then what is going to happen to you as a leader of that SBU? Your voice will be heard at the top echelons of the company. Okay. Before deciding on the policies of the company, you find that they take into confidence the managers of the SBUs. They say, okay, SBU 1, SBU 2, SBU 3, all these SBUs they take into confidence, and then they say, yes, we are doing this. So, if you look at the present day automotive market, it is not just the what do you call usual petrol and diesel vehicles. In fact, the the price of petrol being so high, you find that the sale of the petrol vehicles has come down. So, most of these automotive companies are looking very seriously at producing electric vehicles. Tata's is a very good example. You have the Tata Nexon electric vehicle, a very good vehicle. With a full charge, it claims that it gives up to 200 kilometers. It may not go up to 200 kilometers, it may be in the range of 170 to 180 kilometers, still good. But there are other competitors also who claim that their vehicle goes up to 300 kilometers. Okay. But the market, if you really see, has welcomed Nexon EV. So, the EV has become the new SBU in the automotive market. Now, what is the real trend? The trend is to have this electric option along with the fuel option, that is the hybrid. So, possibly in the next few years you may see that the hybrid option will become the new SBUs for an automotive unit. Honda is moving in that direction. So, a business strategy, a company can make use of its business strategy to improve the competitive position of its business units and products and services within the specific market segment or industry. The aim should be to move from BU to SBU. The generic strategies suggested by Porter, that is cost leadership, differentiation and focus, could help the company in drawing up the business strategy. Whereas the corporate strategy asks what industries should the company be in? The business strategy asks how the company should compete or cooperate in each industry. Sometimes it may be better for you, that is a company, instead of taking competition solely on, better to take competition in cooperation with another company. So, this is what you are finding in the present day setup. This is a big this thing in itself. You have mergers and acquisitions. It is a big wing of many companies, consulting companies, many big IT companies also, mergers and acquisitions. So, there is a, suppose you acquire some other company, what is the type of risk that you are landing into? So, if you see most of these IT companies, they have very senior people to assess the risk and report to the board about the M&A, that is the mergers and acquisitions the company is planning. So, if you look at a company like Infosys, for risk assessment they have a person at the level of the vice president, okay, he assesses the risks and reports to the board what is the type of risk that the company might really go through when you are looking at this thing. Now, all this brings you to one important aspect in India, that is what is the type of cost dynamics that are in play in the country, that is what is the cost levels. So, how is the government policies helping the companies to hold on to price levels, if they are really, or if they are contributing to increase in price. Now, I take a few examples. One is an example from textiles. For comparable pre-tax return on investment, a typical Indian plant capacity with capacity of 6,000 tons per year polyester production has 84% higher selling price than a typical polyester plant with 30,000 tons per year capacity in USA. Make a comparison. Even with the same capacity, India 24% higher selling prices. Now, similar trends are obtained in tire and tube, aluminum and steel. What is the reason for all this? This is a reason, this you are finding in so many debates in the present day with respect to fuel. Cut down the taxes, cut down the taxes. Can it not be reduced? So, you find that many of the center saying that the state government tax component is more than the higher than the central government tax component in many states. So, now you look at there was a great demand from the consuming public that this fuel should be brought in the ambit of GST. In fact, the central government also tried very hard to push this fuel into the GST ambit, but many states opposed in the GST council. They did not want it to come into this GST ambit for the reason, what is the reason? The revenue. The revenue of the state from the taxes on fuel will be hit. So, this is a type of thing which can come about. So, these are given as causes here: excise, customs, sales tax levies, uneconomic production levels, obsolete technology, high break-even points, excess dependence on import of semi-finished goods. High costs, narrow domestic consumer markets and competition in international markets. Suppose your cost is up with respect to the product, you find this scenario that your domestic consumer markets is also affected, your international markets is also affected in the whole this thing. Now, Indian companies are looking at different options. They are trying to see whether larger size plants can help. They find that not only save on initial investment, that is a large size plants, cost but all no investment cost, but also on operational cost, that is cost versus size of production. Now, all this brings you to this comparison of the cost versus the market. Suppose it is a seller's market. What will be the product's price? The product's price will be internal cost plus desired profit margin. You produced a product, let us say you wanted to have 20% profit margin. So, your product price will be internal cost plus 20%. Suppose you are in the seller's market, you can do that. Suppose you are in the buyer's market, that is there are so many competitors, then you can't adopt this. Then what will be the thing? Instead of the product's price, it will become profit margin. What is that profit margin? It is the permissible price minus the internal cost. Suppose your internal cost is very high, then you are not going to make profit. This is what is happening with respect to many Indian firms. It is also called tolerable cost, that is permissible price minus the acceptable profit. So, this is where you are looking at this concept of experience curves. So, what is this experience curves? A company makes use of its workforce to produce different products in different in different divisions. So many people have gained the experience in the production line coming out with these products. For example, telephone instruments. A large number of workforce is producing these telephone instruments. He would have over the years developed an expertise to reduce the time per unit of coming out of this telephone instrument, per unit of this telephone instrument coming out from him. Earlier, if he used to take X hours, let us say, you find after so many years, he would this X would be coming down. This is the concept of the experience curve. Okay. So, this is given in this particular slide. Suppose the accumulated production is, suppose you are operating at the 80% experience curve, that is 80% experience. Your accumulated production is 2, let us say. Now, the cost per unit rupees is 100. Now, suppose you are operating at this 80%. From 2 you go to 4 when production quantity increases. Then what is going to happen? So, when your production accumulated production goes up to 4, what you are likely to do? At this 80% experience curve, you will, the cost per unit will come down. The unit manufacturing cost will come down when the production quantity increases. This happens only up to a particular point. Look at this 80%. At 16, you are getting a cost per unit in rupees of 51. Perhaps that might be the optimal one which you are getting. So, this experience curve normally is a hyperbola, and it gives you what is the reason for this experience curve operating. improved labor productivity, increased specialization, innovation in production methods, innovation in value engineering and fine tuning, line balancing, rationalization of methods and systems. So, when you put it down simply, this experience curve is a simple approximation of extremely complex real time relationships. Extreme care to be exercised to get reliable results, distinguish time from experience, unit experience, and consider influence of time. Many times these are made fun of with respect to employees. Suppose an employee has put in so many years of service in a government organization. You ask him, at what experience curve level are you operating? You will find that he is at sixes and sevens to answer you. He would have never heard of this experience curve. So, this is what competitive market makes a firm, in turn an employee of a firm. So, he has to be on his toes. If you are not on your toes in the competitive market, likely to be swamped. So, in order to do all this, we resort to what is called a sensitivity analysis. What is this sensitivity analysis? Can be with respect to fixed costs, variable costs under price. Decrease in fixed costs results in decrease in break even point. Profitability at a particular volume of production improves with lower fixed costs. Increase in variable costs has marked effect on break even point and eats up profits. Kindly note that. Then decrease in variable costs improves profitability. Increase in permissible price, break even point comes down and vice versa. At a particular volume of production, profitability improves. The important tagline is price is the most sensitive instrument, followed by variable cost and fixed cost. Normally we assume this linear relationship. Suppose in a firm it is not linear. What should you do? This, when prices may be consciously reduced to gain sales volume and market share, or in response to in response to competitors' action. So, if you look at that, how the competitor has acted, then you just have to do this exercise. So, the assumptions, sometimes fixed costs fixed for all production volumes, variable costs do not fall with increasing production level of production, then the total costs and the total revenue vary in linear relationship with output, then maximize profit before interest and tax is the desirable business objective, may not be always true. So, if you really see a little further, we will go into break even analysis in the next session. So, the experience curve relationship is a good framework for marginal considerations for predicting industrial scenario, that is future cost predictions done well in PC market. There are some limitations also. A late market entrant has to operate at lower initial prices to survive. So, some equations are given with respect to break even analysis, that is total cost is equal to fixed costs plus variable cost multiplied by quantity total revenue is price multiplied by quantity. Then at break even you have this relationship, total revenue is equal to total cost. So, the quantity of break even you are getting QB equal to FC over P minus VC. This P minus VC is referred to as the unit contribution. So, this is where we will stop for the present day. We looked at this the cost dynamics in the Indian scenario. Why many products are become higher in price when they are selling in the Indian market. The latest example is your Tesla car. If it is put for sale in the market, if the taxes are retained by the governments, that is the different state governments at the levels which they are proposing, no car from Tesla will be less than 1 crore. It may be much more than a crore, even a smaller version of the Tesla car. Whereas, a very good car in comparative prices, that is the rupees which Tesla puts out the figures, they say is available, that is the higher end models of Tesla itself in US likely to cost between 75 to 80 lakhs in rupees. So, suppose Tesla were to manufacture in India, so the government has to provide certain incentives where his price can compete favorably with the other players and he can register a good sales volume. So, this is what characterizes all these break even costs, break even prices, then the sales volume, sales profit, all those things in the marketplace. Okay. We will stop here, we will continue in the next class. Thank you.